That's it. Yeah. So first of all, let me thank Simon for allowing me to join you folks today. And My name is Greg Staneruck. I'm the ORLA representative for the mid-Willamette to the Northwest region. If I haven't met some of you, I am new to ORLA. So I started in January, so I'm really starting to feel out some of the regions. Of course, now we've shifted all of our efforts to support for the industry. So I want to make sure I reach as many people as I can. That's why I've been reaching out to chambers within my region and trying to connect with as many operators as possible. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm going to go over some things, some things people may know, some they may not know, and then I want to open it up to your feedback, what you folks have been going through in your personal situations, and maybe I can provide some answers and some clarity in those areas. So I'm going to get started with the big thing right now, the CARES Act. That's been the hot topic, the stimulus package that they passed, the $2 trillion stimulus package. Two of the biggies in this package that are relevant to small businesses, especially the hospitality industry, are the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or EIDL. You will hear me refer to them as PPP and EIDL because there's a lot of words in there, so I want to keep it moving. This bill is initially, it's not a solution to all the problems. This bill is made just to stop the initial bleeding, okay? So this isn't, there will be in the future a fourth bill that they're going to be working on further for some other issues. So the main thing for this bill is just to stop the bleeding and to help people pay their bills, pay the rent, that sort of stuff. Obviously, you're going to hear a lot of different information out there. The reason you might hear something different today that that might change tomorrow is due to the implementation and the guidance on these bills. So they've come up with the bills, but now how are they going to put that into play? So you might hear there's a lot of fluidity to it. And we'll try to keep you updated as far as from the hospitality side. But feel free, again, my information on the side, you're welcome to reach out at any time. So this is the bill is a huge step forward, but again, there's tons of shades of gray everywhere. So we're going to try to work through that. Now, I'm going to jump into the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. It's a $349 billion program. The loans will be provided. So let me backtrack. Yesterday afternoon, they just opened it up to applications. So starting on the 3rd, you can start applying for this loan. Now, this loan is for payroll, rent. They've changed some of the things. Initially, they had it opened up a little bit more what you could use it for, and now they've kind of narrowed that down to payroll cost, mortgage, rent, and utilities. And how this bill will work is you obviously apply for it. One thing in applying for these type of loans, what I've been recommending and what we've been recommending to people is reach out to your banker or lender who you've already been working with. And since you already have a relationship with them, reach out to them, work with them. The SBA wants people to reach out to their banks to kind of take some of the pressure off the SBA. But also, you already have an established relationship with these folks. You already know, they already know your business. You already know them. So it can run a lot smoother. With that being said, they're just like everyone else. They're still trying to put all the pieces together. So they're going to figure it out as well. But things should move pretty quick in the by next week. What I'm hearing is they want to get money out to people by next week. So that's going to be pretty quick. So the the payroll protection, it opens up on the 3rd. You can start applying for that. And that would be for small businesses. Independent contractors and self-employed individuals can start applying on the 10th. So it looks to me like they're putting priority with the small businesses, and then the independent and the self-employed can go after that. So that's where that's going to be. Now, how this works with the PPP is the reason they wanted this was they want people to retain their employees, to also alleviate some pressure off the unemployment. So they want people to use this to the payroll, to making sure that they can keep people in place for when this storm moves past. People will be in place for your establishments to open. You'll have your staff ready, and we can sort of get to business again. Because we don't know what that picture is really going to look like when we get back, but they want people in place. So the forgiveness aspect of this, there will be a forgiveness aspect to this loan, and that will be based on FTEs or full-time employees. So we don't have, this is a gray area, we don't have all the details on what that looks like. If you have 10 employees, full-time employees, if 8 of them return, does that qualify for forgiveness for the whole loan? We just don't know those answers. So we're looking for those answers. We're going to stay on it. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes. I don't miss anything because there's been a couple changes since they released the application yesterday. So the rehiring process, with that being said, when they're measuring the FTEs, they're going to look at that by June 30th of 2020. That is the date they've given us right now on whether you've retained your employees and then how much loan forgiveness you will get.
Can I ask a question on that, Greg?
Yes.
So I guess a two-parter. One would be if you have already reduced your payroll, or let's say you've let some people go, and you may not know the answer, are those funds available to bring them back? Because it talks about retention of employees, so it's like, well, I already haven't retained them. And in that same vein, what if I cut somebody back to part-time, for example? Could I use that to bring them back to full-time, or do they have to be, are they FTEs? I mean, true full-time employees, or?
Right. So a couple good questions there. As far as bringing people back, you're going to have conversations with your folks. So this is going to be a loaded question here. So I'm going to try to break it down as best I can. So you're going to have conversations to bring people back and say, hey, bring them back on board. The problem that we're running into a bit right now with that is there's an unemployment issue, which is offering quite a bit of money for people not to come back.
Yeah.
So that's been addressed. We were on a call with Congressman Schrader this morning, and he said that's a big priority right now, to sort out that unemployment, because you want to bring people back. I think that's why they're giving the timeline of having everybody back in place by June 30th. So they're saying it doesn't have to be immediately, but as long as they're back in place by June 30th of 2020, then you can get some forgiveness.
Okay.
Does that answer that question? Okay.
And if they had to be full-time or not.
Right, and the measurement is going to be on full-time employees. So they're not measuring part-time employees.
Okay.
So essentially, you might be in good shape if you are a seasonal type of operator, and you generally just operate with a smaller full-time staff. You can meet up with them and have a conversation, say, hey, we're going to bring you on, we're going to take care of you. And then, the part-timers, you don't have to worry about as much as far as for the loan forgiveness.
Sure.
Additionally to that, there is going to be, on the 2nd of April, the National Restaurant Association has a grant available for employees. Now, this doesn't have to be full-time or part-time employees, but this is a grant that's going to be available where employees can get a $500 grant if they apply for it. So that's something to pass along to your employees. And again, there's going to be a lot of questions that need to be answered in regards to the unemployment. issue, because there's a $600 bonus for unemployment. Well, that's pretty good, you know, to be honest with you. It's like, why would I come back? So there's going to be some things that need to be worked out in that regard.
And can you just repeat that one more time? With the National Restaurant Association, employees can apply to get a $500. Employees.
Correct. It's called the Restaurant Employee Relief Fund.
Okay.
And it will be open
Tomorrow.
Second. Yeah. So keep in mind that I'm going to call it shorten just the NRA. They operate on East Coast time. So people are trying to apply. Remember, keep in mind that it might be open on East Coast time earlier in the morning.
Right. Okay, that's cool.
So any other questions on that? That was a summary of the PPP. So that's just kind of a broad strokes on that, just to keep everybody in the loop. So the next one is going to be, the next big program is the EIDL. And this is a program that the SBA offers. I don't want to say normally, because the SBA, you know, but for disasters, they offer this. This is nothing new for the SBA. What is new to this one is there's a $10,000 grant available. So if you apply for the EIDL, you get approved, and you want to move forward with that, you will get $10,000, which is yours. You can spend it to whatever you want. And that's supposed to be direct deposited into your account within 3 days. So that's what that's one of the unique features about this. With the EIDL, I heard someone discussing it. Scott, you were saying something. Excuse me. You were saying something about tax credits before we got on, and the EIDL will be able to be used with tax credits. So you'll be able to use that with the employee retention credit and delay of payment on employee payroll taxes. So there'll be some tax credits that you'll be able to use in conjunction with the EIDL that you will not be able to use with the PPP. So that's the difference between those two loans. Now, initially, they were saying that you cannot combine, you cannot have a PPP and an EIDL. But now we're hearing that you can, but that $10,000 grant will be rolled into part of your PPP. So that might change, but that is what they're saying right now. So there was some conflicting reports on that. Initially, they were saying you can either do one or the other, but now they're saying you can do both, but the 10,000 will be rolled into the PPP. Any questions on that so far?
Oh, Scott, you're muted. Hold on. Let me unmute you. There you go.
Thanks, Simon. Just a comment on the EIDL. I filled it out yesterday, and it's pretty simple. You just go online. You know, it's one of those forms where you can't go forward unless you've got everything right. It took me less than an hour. Anyway, it's pretty simple. You send it in, and if it works, supposedly 3 days later, there's 10 grand in your bank account.
Nice.
Right, and yeah, so the EIDL, what I would recommend for people is, if whatever you're considering right now, get everything in order. If you're the EIDL is available, like Scott said, to apply for now, so apply for that. Again, if you have someone that you're working with as far as financially, just consult them, keep everybody in the loop, but you can apply for that. And then if you don't, that's not a commitment that that you have to take that EIDL. You can not take the EIDL, but at least apply for it, because there's $1 billion set aside for that $10,000 grant. So if you do the math on that, it's 1 million businesses. So that's going to go pretty quick. So we're encouraging people to move swiftly right now. get all their business stuff in order, and really start to work some of these systems and get on it as quickly as possible. Anybody else have any questions in regards to that? Any feedback on what their businesses are going through?
You don't have a link to the $500 grant process, do you?
For the restaurant employee relief fund.
Yes.
Yeah, I can get a link.
Hey, John.
Go ahead.
Josh, I was going to say that link is in the ORLA Insider thing, newsletter that went out. It's further down in there.
If you have it, Christine, and you want to throw it in the chat, I'll send it and get it out to everybody.
Yep.
And again,
I'll throw it in there.
Yeah, we had a couple of people join after the intro. Real quick, I don't want to take away from Greg. If you're interested in getting a copy of the information in this chat, and you can already see people putting info in there, please just type your name, whatever contact information you want in there. Email is probably the easiest. And I will send a file of this chat out to everybody, so links and everything are sent to you. So sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I mean, I want to keep this conversation open as well too. Like, it helps me if you guys shoot out some specifics on things that you're going through. I mean, I tried to cover just, again, in broad strokes, but is there anything that people are going through right now, or questions with their specific situations?
Oh, let me get Barb unmuted.
Okay.
Go ahead, Barb.
So I want to go back to part-time employees and how that payroll protection could work for us at all. I employ a lot of Oregon State students, so I have mostly a part-time employee staff. So there's no way to convert the part-time hours into full-time FTEs, or are we just out because of most of my people are part-time?
So you're not going to be out, but it's going to be just as far as the loan forgiveness. So how the PPP is going to be evaluated, how you will get, it will be 2 times your pay, 2.5 times your payroll on an average from the past year is how they will do it. So where you feel fit to put that money is up to you. The only thing that matters as far as with the part-time employees, you have full-time employees, correct?
I have maybe 2 out of my 28 are full-time.
Okay, so that means from what the guidance we're getting right now, that means if you retain those 2 full-time employees, you could potentially get forgiveness for that whole loan, because it's basing what you're going to get monetarily from that loan off whatever your payroll is on average in the past year times 2.5.
Okay.
So if you sit down and have a conversation with those 2 full-time employees, say, hey, look, I know there's opportunity on unemployment or whatever, but I feel like you can still pay, because you'll have that loan, you can still pay them, bring them back, and then once you're ready to open up. Now, I don't know where that leaves you once the doors are ready to open with getting staff back on as far as part-time. I mean, that's another subject, but yeah, you can talk to them and say, hey, we can bring you on board and pay them what you feel. The loan, it will be yours. No, I don't think anyone's going to nitpick on, how much you pay those full-time employees. You have to base it on what your bills are.
Okay. And then, and it said something about you get to pick your 8-week period. Do you do that at the beginning, or how does that fall in?
Right. Yeah. So you can pick out the 8-week period. I don't have clarity on that at this time, but I will note that and I can follow up.
Okay.
Hey, Greg, can I follow up just to clarify something Barb just asked and use her scenario? If she's got 20, let's say 20 part-time employees and 2 full-time, her loan would be based on the 2 full-time, 2.5 times that. So using numbers, say she paid them $10,000 a year each, that's $20,000 a year. She would get 2.5 times that, right? So $50,000, again, rounding numbers around. That $50,000 then would be used for just those 2, or she could use it, as long as it was on payroll, she can use it, she could spread it among all the employees. Is that correct?
It's not even basing, it's basing on your total payroll. It's not breaking it down on full-time employee payroll or part-time. It's just basing it on your entire payroll.
So whatever that lump is, then you can use that as long as it's on payroll at some level, part-time, 5 full-time, 25 part-time, whatever, you can use it.
Right. But I think where it might even out is if you're a seasonal operator, then you'll have a higher payroll here, a lower payroll at this point, and it will probably even out. So but that's what they're telling us right now. Again, implementation.
The loan amount is not 2.5 times your yearly payroll, but rather your monthly payroll.
Your average monthly payroll over the past year.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, JC.
So, any other questions on that? I mean, this is kind of again, it's weird. It's hard to give information because everything's changing and we could get something tomorrow, but that's what they're telling us right now as far as these programs.
Greg?
Yes, sir.
Out here again. One of my big concerns, especially if this goes on month after month after month, is rent. How does the PPP, is rent with the PPP, that relief tied to employees as well, or how does that work?
So so the PPP can be used for rent.
Oh, I see. So what we've been talking about, you can use that money for anything.
Right. Yeah. So it can be used for payroll, utilities, rent, all those items. Yes. And from what I'm understanding, again, this is all just a short term. Stop the bleeding. Let's make sure we're paying our bills right now. And from what I heard this morning on the call with the congressman, they really want to start shifting. His vision is to really start to shift right now into looking what the future looks like, as far as getting things opened up again. And I know we're dealing with a situation where there's a lot of uncertainty as far as this virus goes, but that was encouraging for us to hear, because we're hearing about all these other things, but we still have to look to the future a bit. So that was great to hear from the congressman that it's like, okay, that is on someone's radar, that we are still looking at, the long term. So, which is really encouraging. And that really, I think some of the operators that were on call were really happy to hear about that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Sure. All right. I just want to, just a couple of things as far as what ORLA is working on. Sorry, I'm shifting some notes here, but I want to encourage everybody to utilize us as a resource at this time. Again, I'll reiterate that my information will be there. I'm a resource. You're welcome to contact me directly. Whatever you need help with, whatever question. This is what we're doing right now. We're just a support for the industry. I highly encourage people to go to our website. We have done just I don't want to take any credit for it, but our team has done a great job on organizing that website. I mean, it is everything you need there is great. So there's a lot of good information there. So I really encourage people to use that. It's not a plug for we're not making any money on that. It's just so easy to use. I was looking over it again today, and they've just done such a wonderful job. So there's a calendar there that has events with webinars that you can further educate yourself that people are doing. So anybody that's we feel like is going to really provide some good information, as far as there's a lot of restaurant and hospitality specific webinars on how to deal with these situations. I'm not going to pretend I know every answer to operational issues. I don't. But some of these people might, and they've run businesses and for a long time. So there's some great stuff on there. I also want to encourage people to sign up for our text alerts. It's over on the chat right here, and just text ORLA at 52886. One of the main feedbacks that we're getting is that the power of the hospitality industry in Washington right now is very strong, and we want to continue to have that power, and we want to continue to get those folks on our side, so we can still get what we need out of this difficult situation. So I've been on a lot of calls with the NRA, and they've really been amazed and pleasantly surprised about just the power of the industry right now. So I really encourage everyone to get involved. If you haven't, the text alerts are great because they're just super easy. You can just punch your name in and it sends an email out to whatever legislator in your area. And those are really helpful tools. Jason, our CEO, has, I don't know if that guy slept since really 3 weeks ago when things really started to get really nuts. But he's highly involved with the governor's office. Greg Ashley, our director of government affairs, they've just been really super involved with the governor's office and really have been making quite an impact. So I encourage you guys to really use us as a resource and reach out if you need anything.
Excellent. Does anyone have any? I think we've got a group that seems to be managing fairly well. If anyone has, I'm going to take you guys all off unmute. So if you have any questions for Greg, feel free to wave at the screen, jump in, however you want to do it.
Also, if there's any feedback, now would be a great time. I'm taking notes. I want to know what you guys are going through as well. That's really helpful to us, so we can kind of look and maybe answer some of these questions.
So with the payroll protection plan, does that help with payroll taxes? Is everything still straight with, I mean, I'm getting prepared to pay my taxes for last month's payroll, which is large. Is there any help with that at all?
Right, that's a great question. So as far as what we're looking into now, we're looking into relaxing some of those payroll taxes. I know people are getting ready to pay some of those taxes. So that's in our updated relief effort, that we are looking to relax those payments. I don't have a defined answer. I'm going to put that note down as well, and I'll have to get back to you with some clarity on that as well.
Okay.
As far as moving forward with the ORLA framework and relief efforts, again, I mentioned that there's going to be a fourth bill, a COVID bill, and that is going to focus on, one of the main priorities is insurance. I'm sure you guys have all looked into your insurance policies once this thing really hit the fan, and people have been upset about, why is my insurance policy not covering this? So the next bill that they're probably going to be working on sometime starting next week, I'm assuming, on the Hill, is addressing those insurance issues. And we're really going to be an advocate to work on some of those issues. Additionally, we're going to work into trying to provide some commercial rent relief. And I can provide a link online. I'll do that before I leave, but I'll provide a link on some of ORLA's relief frameworks. We're also going to look into some grant programs. We're trying to get some grant programs set up, because we know it's really hard to say, oh, let me just keep out taking loans. Well, there's got to be some money available where we can just assist the hospitality industry. So Greg and Jason and the rest of the team are looking into that. The corporate activity tax, which I'm sure we're all real big fans of, we're looking into getting that delayed, which it should be, and that's another big priority. And those are just a couple of the highlights on our relief efforts. But I will provide a link on that before I log off, and that should be up in the chat, and you can look those over.
Awesome. Anyone have any other questions for Greg? All right, well, Greg, hey, I want to thank you. Greg and I actually we met before this. We had a little Zoom before, and Greg is more than happy to do this, every whatever couple weeks, 10 days, whatever, so we can, as he's referenced several times today, this thing is obviously changing as it evolves. So I'm sure there will be new information, changed information, and you know, Greg's offered to jump back on this, so you will see this again. Hopefully, let's just say, for argument's sake, in a couple of weeks, and then yeah, you can fill us in some more, Greg. That'd be great.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me, and everybody hang in there. And I'm here. You have my information. Let me know what I can do for you, if anything. And yeah, I really appreciate being here today.
No
Much
worries.
appreciated, Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And last time, guys, if you want a copy of all the information you can see appearing in the chat, the links and everything, type your email and name and stuff in that, and I will email it out in whatever, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I will
Thank
stick
you.
around. I'll stick around for a minute or two while you do that, and then we're out of here.